Well, now, to start this year's series of our first day lunchtime programme, I've been looking back only as far as the last England-Australia Test match at Trent Bridge in 1977, a match that can certainly live up to the title, The Great Match.
Again, this tight atmosphere as Thompson's up to the wicket, he bows to Boycott. Boycott cuts, there it is, I think. Down to third man, Walters is quickly to it. Boycott turns, comes back to the second, he'll have to hurry. He's there, that's his 100. And he raises his hands, the bat above his head. Well, what a triumph for Jeffrey Boycott. Botham now starting his 17th over, running away from us, up in now to bowl to Thompson. He bows, Thompson swings, he's caught behind. That was a very obvious deception. He slashed at it. Botham has taken his 5th wicket. He's getting great, tremendous congratulations from his teammates.
An illustrious career resumed, an explosive career begun. Two incidents which make the third test of 1977 particularly memorable. But apart from these personal moments of triumph, and there were more of those, this test had all the ingredients of a great match, with fortunes swaying both ways before its final denouement. It was a momentous year for cricket. In May, the revolution which soon became known as the Packer affair burst on an unsuspecting world and cast a shadow over the Ashes series, already in some people's minds blighted by the absence of Dennis Lillee, who had decided not to tour. The May weather was unbelievably harsh on the Australians. They lost the Prudential one-day series 2-1, but made a better fist of the first test at Lord's, although they were 112 runs from victory with only 4 wickets in hand when it ended in a draw. At Old Trafford, England recorded a crushing 9-wicket victory and arrived at Nottingham for the third test as a buoyant, well-knit team. Nevertheless, there were some changes. Ian Botham, at the age of 21, came in for the injured Chris Old, and Mike Hendrick replaced the unlucky John Lever. At the start of the season, Jeffrey Boycott had announced to the selectors his willingness to play for England again after declining to do so for 3 years, and Dennis Amos's failures in the first 2 tests gave them the chance to bring him back now. 2 members of the team, Alan Knott and Derek Underwood, recalled his return to the England dressing room.
I've always been a very close friend of his, and of course was delighted to see him back. I think most players were. He's one of the all-time great players, and if you get somebody that good coming back into the team, you're pleased to see him. I think he was very well liked by the players, and they were pleased to see him.
I think he was extremely welcome in that any class batsman is always welcome in any side I play in for a start. I remember that Geoff, I think, was probably particularly tense, and he had a particularly difficult time, but in true style he fought his way through with obdurate defence, and he fought, and perhaps he played and missed here, and he struggled there, but through grit and defiance he came through.
And the great man himself?
I was very nervous, but yet it had very strange memories for me. Did Trent Bridge. I mean, I played my first test match there. I've usually done fairly well there for England and Yorkshire, and it's very close to home, the Sheffield area where I was born, so there were lots and lots of supporters there, and I was very tense, Marcy, on the day. I mean, I knew there were quite a few people in the media that were ready to hang me if I failed.
The Australians made 2 changes from Old Trafford, the reserve wicketkeeper Richie Robinson coming in as a batsman for Sargent, and not surprisingly Len Pascoe returning for Ray Bright, a third seamer rather than a second spinner. Greg Chappell won the toss and had no hesitation in deciding to bat in glorious weather on a straw-coloured pitch. His decision was reinforced by some wayward England bowling, and the only victim of the morning was Ian Davis, caught by Botham at mid-on off Underwood for 33, with the score at 79. Rick McCosco, whose jaw had been broken in the centenary test at Melbourne in March, had subsequently managed only 26 runs in 4 innings in this series, falling 3 times to the man who'd caused the injury, Bob Willis. But today his character was proved, and he reached a warmly applauded half-century just before lunch, which was taken at 94 for 1. Afterwards, though, he couldn't add to his score, caught low down at slip off Hendrick for 51, a reward for some accurate bowling, and Australia were 101 for 2. Bob Willis was now firing much better than he had in the morning, but it was Hendrick's replacement by England's debutant that brought the most important breakthrough.
So the drinks have come off and Botham's come on instead of Hendrick now, and he runs up and he bowls this to Chappell. He's out. He bowled him. Chappell is out, and Botham has got his first test wicket, and Australia are 131 for 3. The off-stump leaning back there, Fred.
Well, that's a classical case of did the drinks break the batsman's concentration? When something like Botham comes on, Greg probably thought of himself, I can relax a little bit here, and he relaxed a little too much and Botham got through, and it's his first test wicket and he will be very pleased with that.
A notable scalp, especially as Chappell had in that innings got his 1000th run of the tour. Then 4 minutes and 2 runs after Chappell's departure.
We're going to see Willis now bowling to the left-handed hooks with 3 slips. The third man covering it off on the offside. As he comes and bowls this one outside. Somebody's caught! A marvellous catch! A third slip! One of the best catches I've seen. Hooks is out, caught by Hendrick, and I haven't seen a better slip catch than that for years.
So, for the first time, England were on top. But they could scarcely have expected what followed.
Botham has certainly got a cleaner's bill in front of him. He's got a very dirty green left knee, but Botham runs away. He bowls to Walters. Walters edges this. He's caught! He's caught by Hendrick in the gully. The finer of the 2 gullies. That was a most splendid catch. He was low. The ball was travelling fast, and he took it very cleanly. So Botham has got another wicket, and Walters caught Hendrick, bowled Botham for 11. And Australia are now 153 for 5. Tony Gregg to continue from the Radcliffe Road end, running in towards us to bowl to Richie Robbins. Gregg starts off with his shuffle, and now his jerking, striding run up to the wicket. He bowls outside the off stump, and he's caught. He's out! Caught by Braley at first slip. And Australia are 153 for 6. Robinson caught Braley, bowled Gregg for 11.
I didn't think Botham bowled at all well early this morning. 6 overs, 26 runs, very short. And now that he's now bowling a full length, which I heard Trevor and Freddie Truman say that they should keep that ball up, and that is which I agree. But here is Marsh again. There's a careful leg before he's out. LBW, Botham's 3rd wicket. Marsh out, no score. We wait for Botham on his way. And Walker is caught at slip. Another catch for Hendrick. Walker out, no score. Caught Hendrick, bowled Botham to give Botham his 4th wicket. 8 wickets down for 155.
Botham, in a 14-ball spell, had taken 3 for 1. Those last 4 wickets had gone down for just 2 runs, and Australia had slumped from 131 for 2 to 155 for 8. Tea, taken 10 runs later, came after an afternoon which had brought them 72 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. It had been hoped that the Queen, on her Silver Jubilee tour of the Midlands, would meet the teams during the interval, but enthusiastic crowds had delayed her progress. She did, however, have the chance of seeing some highly responsible and enterprising tail-end batting in the form of Kerry O'Keefe and Geoff Thompson for the 9th wicket.
Well, Thompson and O'Keefe are making the batting that's gone before them look an absolute farce, because they've not looked in trouble at all. They've put on these very valuable 41 runs, and it does really make one wonder what happened to the Australian middle-order batting. It just suddenly folded up like a pack of cards. Botham now starting his 17th over, running away from us, up in now to bowl to Thompson. He bowls, Thompson swings, he's caught behind! That was a very obvious deflection. He slashed at it. Botham has taken his 5th wicket. He's getting great, tremendous congratulations from his teammates. Australia are now 196 for 9, and Thompson walks back, caught Knott, bowled Botham for 21, and Botham now has 5 for 61.
Well, he was to finish with 5 for 74 from 20 overs. Then Pascoe, who joined O'Keefe, was in no mood to get out just to allow Her Majesty's tour to continue, and so eventually play had to be held up for the presentation. Afterwards, the last pair took their stand to 47, 88 runs for the last 2 wickets, before Hendrick had Pascoe caught at slip for 20 for his 2nd wicket. O'Keefe was left not out 48, and 243 was a very much more respectable Australian score than had seemed likely. There was time for only 3 more overs before the close, when England won 9 without loss. The gates were closed well before play on the 2nd day, despite the cloudy conditions, and it was a cautious start by McGilvray and Boycott. Only 25 runs had been added in an hour and a quarter when the first disasters came.
England are 34 for no wicket. Brearley is 15. Boycott is 9. We're in the 20th over. It's Pascoe bowling from the far end. That's the Rackley road end here at Trent Bridge. And Brearley lifts his bat up and Pascoe comes in. Outside Johnston, he hits that, but he's marvellously caught by hooks at that gully position. It was a wonderful catch. And Brearley is out for 15. And England are now 34 for 1. That really was a most marvellous catch. Pascoe coming in. It's a cloud overhead, but still bright here as he comes in, bowls this one. And that hits Woolmer on the pad, and it must be very dangerously out. It was. It looked very plumb, and Dickie Bird waited before he lifted his finger up. And Woolmer, so are the mighty fallen after those 200s, the naught not out, and now he's made a naught. So England, a swift change in fortune, 34 for 2. 2 wickets in 4 balls for Pascoe, and how things change in this game.
Well, you can say that again. Many of the Nottingham crowd, though, had probably come to see their local hero Derek Randall playing his first test on his home ground. And he started confidently, reaching 13 out of 18 added for the 3rd wicket. It was not the hostility of Thompson or Pascoe which accounted for him.
And the field now, 3 slips and 2 gullies close to the bat. Thompson comes in, bowls to Boycott. Boycott pushes that. There must be a run out here. Oh, how tragic. How tragic, how tragic, how tragic. We welcome World Service with the news that Randall has just this minute been sacrificially run out, and England are 52 for 3. Let's leave the applause for Randall from a Trent Bridge crowd as he comes in, very crestfallen and very unlucky. Almost with tears in his eyes, he looks very disconsolate.
Tragic indeed. Boycott had pushed a ball just past the bowler's stumps and run. Derek Underwood recalls the reaction in the dressing room and crowd.
Horror and dejection. I think that Geoff went through hell when it happened. I think that the blame probably lay at Geoff's feet.
I wish the ground would open up and literally swallow me because I felt dreadful, and I think that particular night played on my mind more than any because I became so introverted and so uptight about it that I couldn't relax enough to play a normal game. I became very static, and it was a very aggressive piece of cricket for a while. Pascoe particularly was bowling very short at me, and it went on hour after hour.
52 for 3 became 64 for 4 when Gregg went, beaten for pace and bowled by Thompson for 11 just after lunch, and it was 82 for 5 when Miller was caught at short leg for 13 off a Pascoe lifter. Boycott in the doldrums, having been put down once, and enter Alan Knott.
I've played a lot of cricket with Alan in test matches, talked to me, and he managed to get a few runs, and it got me to relax and play.
We were delighted to bat together, in fact, because we had very few stands, strangely enough, together. I can remember one at Sydney when there wasn't much in the game, as far as us needing to score many more runs. But other than that, I could hardly remember batting with him. So it gave me a great chance to bat with the master. But the thing I remember, the sunshine was starting to come out, because they batted in the morning when it was cloudy, which made it difficult, but it was nice to see the sun, which was going to make the wicket a fair bit easier.
This was probably Geoff's first confrontation of the pace bowling of Thompson in particular, who was very much a feared bowler. Pascoe, who was, in my book, a very high class bowler. This was a pretty fearsome bowling attack on a wicket that offered a little bit of help to them, I felt. And Knotty was as cheeky as ever, playing at times some outrageous shots as he does, unorthodox shots should I say, and the blend of orthodox and unorthodox styles blended very well, and as I say, I think that the pressure went off him a little bit and he started playing really well in combination with Knotty.
I suppose of all batsmen today, he has more unorthodox strokes, ranging right round from a 6 over extra cover, which I've seen him do, this extraordinary sweep from outside the off stump, the paddle down to long leg, and any sort of improvisation you like in the way of giving himself room to cut and so on. And
very difficult batsman to bowl at.
I would think very. And O'Keefe bowling to him again. 1 for his 50 needed. Up O'Keefe comes, and that one he's going to get it. He's gone down to third man. He cut it down there, and that's the 100 partnership as well. And Knott is 50, and one of the best ones I've seen him get. 184 for 5. not 53.
That 100 partnership was reached soon after tea, and when bad light ended the second day half an hour early, England were just 1 run behind, with both batsmen in the 80s. Another huge crowd on Saturday basked in warm sunshine, and despite the alarm of a boycott chance in the 90s, they soon saw the events they'd come for.
You can feel the expectancy all round the ground. You really could almost hear the proverbial pin drop as Thompson turns and starts in again. Not on 99 waiting for him. Thompson gets to the crease now, he bows it short, Knott cuts it, there's his 100, down to third man. Walters fields, and the crowd rise all round the boundary boards. Knott takes his cap off, waves his bat, and Boycott comes down the wicket to congratulate him, to shake him by the hand. Thompson starting to bowl to Boycott. Will he get his 100? Again, this tight atmosphere as Thompson's up to the wicket, he bowls to Boycott. Boycott cuts, there it is, I think. Down to third man, Walters is quickly to it. Boycott turns, comes back to the second, you have to hurry. He's there, that's his 100. And he raises his hands, his bat above his head. Well, what a triumph for Jeffrey Boycott. And the spectators all round the ground are rising to Jeffrey Boycott. And I don't think anyone here underestimates the measure of what he has achieved.
Apart from the remarkable rescue act, records were hoving into view, and England's best 6th wicket stand against Australia was equalled when the pair had added 215.
Here's Thompson coming up now to bowl the Boycott. 1 needed to beat the record. And he's caught! He's caught at second slip by McCosker, who makes amends for having dropped him at 20. Boycott is out. The record is not being broken. So it's equals 297 for 5. Boycott caught McCosker, bowled Thompson 107. Let's listen to the applause. Everybody's standing and giving him a wonderful reception.
Well, Botham was dropped before he'd scored, but helped Knott to add 29 before lunch when England were 326 for 6. Immediately afterwards, though, Knott fell to one of his more extravagant strokes, top-edging a wideish ball from Thompson to third man. His 135 was his highest test score, and almost certainly the most valuable. Underwood made 7 before losing his leg stump to Pascoe. Botham lost his off stump to Walker for 25, and Walker then claimed his second wicket, bowling Hendrick for 1, leaving Willis not out 2, and England 364 all out. Pascoe had 4 for 80, and Thompson 3 for 103. Exactly halfway through the match then, Australia were batting again, 121 behind, and within half an hour Willis had sent back Davis, caught at slip for 9. The deficit was not quite halfway wiped off when Hendrick started to pose problems for Australia's main hope.
Now back to Hendrick, going into the ball to Chappell. Chappell beaten, hold him, clean bowl. Chappell is out for 27, bowled by Hendrick.
A very good ball by Hendrick, which nipped back sharply. Chappell might have got an inside edge onto it. He was very square on, and Pads went in quite the correct place, and that is the end of Chappell. A worried Chappell, never really at his best in this test match, and with his loss, 60 for 2, one can't help feeling that Australia really are in a bit of trouble.
Chappell remarkably bowled for the second time in the match, but Hooks was in a resolute mood, hemmed in by close fielders, and he and the staunch McCosker were there at the close when Australia were just 9 behind. Another sunny morning on Monday meant hard work for England, and only 1 wicket before lunch. Hooks LBW to Hendrick for 42, 154 for 3, 33 ahead. And after lunch, when Walters went to Gregg for 28, familiarly caught at cover off a wide half volley, the lead was 83. McCosker's performance, though, was magnificent, and after nearly 6 hours batting, he reached 99.
There's Willis. Up past umpire Bird, and he bowls it short, and McCosker hooks 4 runs. That goes just behind square. 6 runs, indeed. It lost sight of the ball. It went high into the crowd, just backward of square leg, below the scoreboard. Umpire Bird signals 6. A fine stroke, and McCosker's 100. He is 105, and what a way in which to reach 3 figures. 229 for 4, the Australian score.
I think he's probably one of the most popular players in the game, and everybody obviously very, very sad when he got hit in especially a centenary test match. like he did, but like a great player as he was, really. He fought back and got over his injury.
A hard-working, determined player who was a strong cutter and a strong onside player. He likes to hit through mid-on, mid-wicket. He's a player who knows his limitations, as all very good players do, and Rick fought very hard, batted for a long time, and he got his runs.
Tributes from McCosker's opponents, Knott and Underwood. Willis, though, had started the spell which turned the match back towards England, and another short ball had McCosker caught at slip for 107. With no change in the score, he had marked O'Keefe with a stand of 30 before Underwood trapped him leg before. O'Keefe again showed his batting potential, adding 37 with Walker before the last 3 wickets fell for 2 runs. Willis bowling Walker for 17 and Thompson for a duck